Hi all. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. If you are new, welcome. My name is Amira and welcome to my channel. Today I have for you guys the Patrick Ta Major Dimension 2 Rose Palette. Yes, I purchased it. If you saw my new makeup releases video, then this is not a surprise to you. But if you did not, yes, I have picked it up. It is stunning. This is not going to be a first impressions. Just so you know, I got it in the mail on Saturday. I was gonna try to film, but my weekend was kind of crazy. So I was like, you know what I'm gonna do instead is I'm gonna wear it, try it out for a day, see how I feel about it, and then be able to sort of give you guys not only a demo, but my thoughts on it, having actually used it already. So my face is done. I have my makeup on, everything except my eyes. If you ever want to know what's on my face, all of my makeup details are always in the description box down below. So let's get into it. Let me show you what the palette looks like. See outside, it's very reflective and my fingerprints are all over it. Kind of reminds me a bit of the Pat McGrath Divine Rose 2, the limited edition packaging was that rose gold reflective packaging. This isn't quite as nice, it's not as hefty, it's more on the lighter side, but the vibe is very similar. So with the Major Dimension Rose 2, you get 12 shades. All of your shimmers are at the top, mattes are at the bottom, and then you have your two cream shades with a little lid here. Basically the same layout as the Major Dimension one. I would say, having swatched these and worn them, that these are some of the more silkier mattes that I've felt. They feel very soft and almost wet to the touch, which is, I was a bit surprised by. The pigmentation is lovely. I would say the shimmers are probably the things that I'm the least or the most underwhelmed by, and I'll show you guys once I get into the demo. I just wanted to give you my thoughts a little bit before we get into it. I'm gonna do some swatches for you, and you'll see them on my hand, what I mean when I say that the metallics are they're a bit lacking in body. But let's start off with some swatches. And so do I have the box here? Yeah. Any names? I hate the name when they put the names on the back because I'm always confused. Okay. Let's get into it. So first up is this light shade, which I believe is called Loyal. Those are the first three mattes in the palette. I probably should have started this lower on my hand, but we're here now. We're gonna make it work. Next up are the darker shades, and this is the second to last deep shade and the last deep shade, so you can see those. Very creamy, very pigmented, lovely shades. I have not swatched the cream shadows yet, so we're going to do that right now. I want to do that on camera for you guys. I haven't actually used these. I was saving them for today. I was like, you know, since I'm swatching, I'm wearing the other shades, I'm going to at least save these for my video. And those are the cream shades. These feel really nice to the touch. I'm really excited to see how these blend with powder on top, because they're not like, say, Natasha Denona's like cream to powder where they dry down to a powder, so they're very easy to blend on top of traditional mattes. This is a cream. All right, so let's do the metallics next, and then I can give you guys my thoughts. All right, so these are all of the metallics, and let me zoom you guys in a bit more. These are all of the metallics in the palette, light to dark. And as you can see, these first three are quite light. And when I mean light, I don't mean in tone, I mean in body. When you place them on the eye, they almost function like toppers. Yesterday when I did my eye look, I went in with this as my base metallic, and then I went in with these two as my topper shades on top of this, just to give it a bit more gleam. So this is going to function more like a traditional metallic. This one is kind of between the two. a traditional metallic, and then these are your more glittery, sparkly topper type shades. So yeah, I don't feel like you're gonna get a lot of body out of those first 3 shades, maybe even 4, that sort of orangey rose shade. I will say the tones in this are very, they're muted, but because the palette is so pigmented, you can build them up and they work really well. The look that I created, and if I can remember, I took a picture yesterday before I went out and ran my errands. I'll try to remember to insert that so you guys can see exactly what I did with the palette. But I found them to be very, I found them to be very buildable and very blendable. So you're not going to get, even though they're pigmented, you're not going to get a blast of pigment as soon as you put them on your eye. And I think that works for a lot of people, maybe people who are more new with the whole eyeshadow game, or maybe you're just someone who's used to using neutrals, you know, browns and tans, and any kind of color kind of gives you a little bit of the heebie-jeebies. This will function well for you because it is pigmented, but it's not so pigmented that it's too much on the eye right away. So I haven't decided what I want to do today. Let me blend out my base here, and I have on my Natasha Denona eyeshadow primer. But I've decided that I want to go in with one of the creams. Let me grab a different brush for that. I was going to use the brushes that I used yesterday, but I'm going to use this brush as well. And I'm going to grab this lighter cream, and we're going to see what we get from that. Let's zoom you guys in. Hello. Welcome to my face. We're just going to see. This feels very wet. And maybe what I'll do is use this in my crease first, and then go in with the powder shade that I used yesterday, that I used in my crease, which is the second to lightest shade. I mean, it's very pigmented. I'm going to take a fluffier brush and just see if I can blend that out a bit more so I'm not getting such a defined line. Yep, that worked. Okay, I'm going to go in on the other eye. I actually want to see how much is still left on this brush because it felt like there was quite a bit. No, not a lot. So yes, this feels really nice. I was worried how these would feel with primer underneath. You know, cream on top of cream sometimes isn't like the easiest to navigate. So I'm just going to take this and blend that out. All right, so this is the cream shade, the lighter shade, and I believe it's the shade Adore. If I'm reading that in the right order, you know, it's always so confusing when they put them on the back. You don't know if it's like the left or the right. At least I don't. I'm always at a loss on that. Okay. Now, let's see if one of these powders will blend on this. And I'm going to be using the shade Heartache, which is this this shade here that I used yesterday, and I really like. It's quite light. I'm literally going to just use this in the crease. That's blending nicely. I actually feel like these two shades, the cream and this shade, are very similar in tone. So I feel like you wouldn't need to use both. You could probably get away with using one or the other depending on like what you're going for. So yeah, because I don't feel like it added anything to the eye putting those two shades together. They just kind of look, this looks very similar to that powder shade on its own. All right, let's go into the shade Passion, which is the These are quite powdery, so tap off your brush. I'm going in to the outer corner here, and I'm just going to try and wing this out a bit. I want this to be a little dramatic, not a ton, but just give it a little something something. So we're going to wing that out. As you can see, the way the shades are going on, and I did notice this yesterday as well, is I'm getting a little bit of a patch there, and I don't know that that's from the cream or just from my eye, which can happen sometimes with my eye because I have texture from eczema there. But I am getting a little bit of like, I don't know if you can see it, like a little bit of patch there, which I did not have yesterday. So I don't know if that's a function of using the creams on top, the cream on top rather. But if you notice with these, they are looking quite samey on the eye, which, I mean, this is the thing with palettes like this anyway, is that with a monochrome palette, you're not going to get variation in shade so much. You're going to get variation in tone a little bit, but not in the actual shade. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. Like, it's going to be all rosy, so it's just going to be rosiness everywhere. I'm then going to go into, am I going to go into a more again? No, I'm going to go into this deeper shade, which is, no, that's a more. So we're going to go into a more, which is the deep shade. This is very, very pigmented, guys. Very pigmented. So I'm using a small brush, a number 13 rougher brush, which is my go-to for my outer corner work. I highly recommend this brush if you have smaller eyes or hooded eyes and you need something that allows you to work in small sections and isn't like completely overwhelming to your eye. I highly recommend this brush. So yeah, I'm just adding this to the outer corner to deepen, further that wing out. Yeah, I'm still getting a patchiness there. So I don't know. I feel like that is that cream shade. Because again, I didn't have this issue with this shade yesterday when I used it. So, and I did use it on my outer corner. Do you see what I mean? How it's just a little patchy there. Everything's kind of just like catching right there. I mean, it's not like the end of the world. I'm not one of those people. I'm going in with the third lightest shade just to help blend this out a bit. I'm not one of those people who's like, my shadow has to be perfect, but I did want to point it out, you know, that it is a little patchy there. All right, I'm now going to take this brush that I use for the creams and I'm going to wipe it off with my little Sonia G microfiber here. I love this thing. And I'm going to go in with this shade again, that one there, on my lid, just to give some base to my lid before I go in with the shimmas. Okay, so you see what I mean, guys? It's very samey. I have a lot of colors on my eye. Sorry if you hear the cars going by, but I have a lot of colors on my eye, and it's looking very almost muddy. And again, I didn't have this issue yesterday, so I'm questioning the cream shadows in regards to this. I'm questioning that cream that I used because, again, this was not an issue that I had yesterday, and I'm just bringing this up a bit more. on my eye. All right, let's go into the shimmers, and I am going to use, since I haven't used it yet, I'm going to use this sort of fiery shade here. I don't know if I'm going to like it. This shade to me is a bit of an outlier in this. It's pretty, but it's quite orange toned, which is not really, for me, something that I would look for. This is the shade that I used on my eye yesterday with this shade. Ugh, I really want to use this shade again. I'm going to use it. I'm going to use it, but I'm going to put the orangey one like maybe towards the center of the lid. So let me get my trusty brush here. And I think I'm going to use my Eyes to Intensifies. I bought two things over. I bought my setting spray and I bought my Eyes to Intensifies. And I don't use this enough. So I'm going to put it here and I'm going to see how it does. Because I need to get use out of it. So now would be the perfect time to do so. And let's take this shade here, which is Romance. That's as close as I can get you guys with this camera. Sorry. I love this shade. I think it's so pretty. My only gripe with it, as well as with the other ones, is that I don't feel like it has enough to it, if that makes sense. I feel like it needs like more. Like I want more sparkle. I want more intensity from it. I'm going to put some more intensifies here, and I'm going to go in with that orangey shade. That works. Take a little bit more of this to blend, just so these can be mixed in well together. I don't hate that. Let you guys see that. So as you can see on the eye, it's okay. Like I feel like the shimmers are okay. They're not like the most amazing shimmers I've ever tried. And I will say that I do feel like they look more intense in the pan than they do on the eye. That's my main takeaway with this palette so far when it comes to the metallics, is that they look far more impactful in the pan than in practice. Perfect. I'm glad this intensifies is not like lifting the shadow. So that's exciting. So I was worried it would do that. But I also feel like these shadows get hard pan. Now I've swatched them a couple of times, but the majority of the time that I have touched these shadows, I have done so with a brush. And I feel like, and I'll show you guys once I'm done, I'll show you what the pans look like, but I feel like they are getting hard pan, and that, my friends, is not the biz. All right, so I'm gonna go in with a little bit more of that deeper shade just to blend these colors out so they don't look too... Okay, so that's what we're working with. It's okay. What I'm gonna do is I am going to put on some mascara and do a wing liner real quick, and then I will be right back. Okay guys, I am back. I had a little mascara snafu, so that was fun. I've put on a wing. I used a brown liquid liner. I used my Melt liquid liner in the shade Molten. I don't think you can still get this. I was trying to source this for another video when I was putting my makeup details and I couldn't find it. But I will try to find it because this is my favorite like brown liquid liner. It's so pretty. Anyway, let's get to the lower lash line. Let's see what we can do with this bad boy. We're going to take this Sonia G Pencil Pro, and I'm going to go into the shade Devotion under my lash line. And I am using, for mascara today, I'm using the new Cali Ray mascara that was on my wish list for the Sephora sale. I've gotten part of my order, of my Sephora order in. I don't know if anyone else is having this issue with Sephora. You guys let me know in the comments if you're experiencing this as well. But I feel like Sephora, the way Sephora is shipping things right now is really strange. I have gotten my order in piecemeal. You know, like I haven't gotten everything at once. Taking a slightly smaller brush, this is my 03, and I'm going to go into that deep shade just on the outer corners here. But I just feel like it's taking forever to get all of my stuff. And then I had a snafu with the Rose Ink Serum Foundation. Spoiler alert, I wound up returning it, so I no longer have that. I had it for a couple of days and then I returned it. And I will get into that when I do my Sephora haul, but it's quite the story, guys. It's a fun little story. I'm going to take this matte shade and I'm going to put it in my outer corner. I've actually been enjoying putting this shade in my inner corner like I did yesterday, or as I did yesterday, because it's very pigmented. For such a light shade, it's quite pigmented. And I enjoy. I tend to like shimmer in my outer corner, but I am going to take some shimmer on my lower lash line, as I often do, and then I got eyeshadow in my eye. I love that for me. I'm going to take this golden shade here. They're so flaky. That's another thing, guys, is these are very flaky. So I would say if you're using these in certain places, you are going to have to, you know, like lower lash line in a corner or something like that, you're probably going to need a glitter glue or something, or a setting spray or something to just help them stay where you place them, because it is very flaky, or they are very flaky. I'm actually gonna mix those two just to give it a little something. I don't know if you can tell, I love shimmer on the lower lash line. And then I'm gonna take this Charlotte Tilbury eyeliner duo in Mesmerizing Maroons in my waterline. I used this yesterday as well. Really liked it. So I'm doing it again. It's not super intense. It just gives like a little something something on the waterline. All right, there we go. For lips, my lips are really dry today. I have on right now the Gucci, what do they call these? They're like the ones that are like lip balms and lipstick in one, but this is the Peggy Taupe. That's what's on my lips right now, because it's actually quite hydrating feeling. But I want something a little more intense, so I'm gonna wipe that off. Lips are so dry. And I'm gonna put on my Lisa Eldridge Velvet Jazz. Pray for my lips, y'all, because they are rusty crusty right now. I just feel like I want to lean into the roseberry tones, you know. I'm doing this without a lip line, guys, a lip liner. I am going rogue. Let me zoom you guys out so you can actually see my lips. That might help. All right. So, what do we think? This is the final look. I enjoy it. I actually like the look. I will say I have mixed feelings about this palette. I really enjoy the mattes. I think the mattes are beautiful. The mattes are so silky and pigmented, and they blend beautifully. I'm And of course I've already gotten shadow into my cream shadow because it's me and that's how things happen with me. But I have some misgivings about the creams. I feel like they might be a little too wet. I'm noticing that I feel like they're still quite wet on the eye, and I don't know if you can see that. Like, this is all the cream here. And as you can see, it's kind of still looks quite emollient. I'm gonna take a brush and take one of these, take this powder shade, this light powder shade, and just use it on my brow bone and see if that helps with that situation. I'm just gonna dip. I mean, yes and no. I still feel like my lids look kind of shiny, not where the shimmer is, but where the cream is underneath the powder matte shadow. That's what it feels like to me. So that's my one of my two misgivings with the palette, is that I feel like the creams don't set, and maybe it's just that I use too much. Maybe I need to put them on a different type of eyeshadow primer. I use the Natasha Denona eyeshadow primer, which usually I haven't had any issues with since I've owned it. It sets nicely on its own. If they just feel very wet, and I have cream shadows that I use all the time that I love, and the thing that I love about them is that they blend, but they also set. They don't stay wet feeling or wet looking on the eye. And I feel like these still look, they don't feel wet, but they still look slightly dewy on my lids. The other misgiving is the metallics. I love that deep rich metallic that's in the palette, but I feel the rest of them, they give you more in the pan than they do on the eye. They are very toppery. I mean, as you can see, they're quite subtle. You know, there's not a lot of oomph to them. Now, my feeling about that is maybe that is probably the aesthetic that Patrick Ta was going with or going for, specifically since I know that was kind of the vibe of the original Major Dimension palette, is that it was meant to be sort of like, it just gives a little something extra, not a lot something extra. So in that sense, if that was the vibe that they were going for, they were successful at it. As of now, I feel like I would give this palette a solid B plus for the mattes. Yeah, that's what I would grade this at. I would grade it like a B plus, and the plus is for the mattes. It's a palette that I feel like if you are really into rosy tones, but you want something that's slightly less, I feel like this is rosy tones done in a very sophisticated way. They're rosy, but they're muted. They have a little bit of brown in them. They're not going to give you that super pink look on the eye. You know, as you can see, my eyes are rosy, but it's not overdone. It's very soft. It's not overwhelming at all. And I actually really like the look I did yesterday. I enjoy this look. I think it came together, like once I put everything on, and my liner, my mascara. I haven't done my lower lash mascara. I should probably do that. Let's do that. But yeah, I'll do that now. Okay. And this is the Cali Ray that I was telling you guys about. That's so far, I've only used it this is my third time using it. I'm enjoying it. I'm going to do a video about all of the things that I've purchased from Sephora during the spring sale once I get it all. Like I said, I did switch some things out. There were some last minute additions, some last minute omissions. So once I receive everything, I will of course do a video telling you guys all about the magical things I have purchased. But as far as the Patrick Ta palette, my main question with a palette like this is it worth $68? In my opinion, no. Would it be worth it if it was $45? Yes. $68? It's a little rich for the formula and for the quality of the other textures besides the mattes. The mattes, again, like I said, the mattes are solid, the mattes are golden. I was actually quite impressed by the mattes, and I've enjoyed using them this is my second time using them. I had a lot of fun using them yesterday, and I enjoyed using them today. But the metallics and the creams, I don't know. The creams ironically feel a lot like the creams that are in his blush duos, and I have one of those blush duos and I wound up decluttering it because I did not like the cream formula in it. So yeah, I feel like his creams are a bit too emollient and too dewy for my liking. However, if you love that formula, if you have the Patrick Ta blush duos and you love that cream formula, you'll probably like these shadows. So yeah, let me know in the comments down below, guys. Do you have this palette? Were you thinking about picking it up? Yeah, let me know, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye now.